welcome everybody. I'm Jackie Atchison. I'm the Executive Director of the Arts Council for Monterey County. We appreciate you being here this morning. I want to thank Ritika,
She just
stepped out of the room, and Arts Ability for hosting us here this morning. And I also want to thank our staff. We have Emerald and Naomi and Nellie and Carla. I always pause with Carla because we have a Clara too. Let's see, what else do I want to take? Oh, so I want to introduce Kenji Tanner, who is one of our lead teaching artists with the Arts Council, and she's going to speak on the topic, boosting your business with customer engagement and portfolio kits. So living in Monterey County and raised by her Japanese and African American friends, Kenji was introduced early to various cultures. Kenji's rich ancestral experiences influenced her creative expression and blended themes to make powerful cross-culture statements. Kenji's art deeply conveys a profound understanding of the human spirit and deep messages that ignite the imagination. I should put my glasses on. Kenji is certified in social emotional learning through the arts with the UCLA Arts and Healing Initiative and has worked with the Arts Council for over 20 years. She's also taught and led healing art seminars where she continues to motivate individuals with the desire to tap into and express feeling through creative expression. Kenji's love for humanity and the arts imprint on everything she touches. You can also find Kenji on Facebook at Kenji Art Design and Instagram at Kenji Art Queen. So please welcome Kenji Tanner.
Hey, thank you. Was that all about me? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you everyone for being here. So are you excited to be here?
Yeah.
Good, because we need to have a little enthusiasm about our businesses. Because if we don't, no one else will, right? So we want to make sure we're, a little bit excited and, we can tap into our creativity with our businesses and just learn skills on how to promote ourselves and feel comfortable doing it. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Before we get started, can you raise your hand if you're a fine artist? Okay, can you raise your hand if you're a ceramicist? All right, can you raise your hand if you are a photographer? All right, and what about a writer? Singer, dancer? Okay, and you, my friend, what is it that you do? What is your? I know, I waited for you to bite that thing.
Photography, and I do writing too, but I'm not like, I don't think of my writing as artistic writing, but I like writing.
Well, writing is artistic, and we can give ourselves that acknowledgement. Because a lot of times I'll ask people, well, are you an artist? And they'll go, well, yeah. And I'm like, yes, you are. So it doesn't mean that we're Van Gogh or, we're Rembrandt, but we are artists, and we should appreciate what we do. Because if we don't appreciate ourselves, no one else will. So remember that, keep that going. So today we're gonna start off with portfolio kit, and I want you to, go along with me. There's a couple of exercises. We're not gonna spend a long time with them, but a little bit so that when you leave here, you know how to develop certain parts of your portfolio. Okay? All right, so for the agenda, can everybody see that okay? We have our artist statement that we're going to go over, because the artist statement is important as far as, what we feel, who we are, and so forth. Our bio, which is always used when you're going to submit your information for a gallery, or if you're going to apply for a grant or different aspects of your art career, you're going to need the bio, and also your artist resume, which is different from your resume that you're gonna go work in a location that might not be artistic. So we want to develop these things. We're gonna go over work samples briefly and secondary items such as news articles, exhibitions, and postcards and things that you have done that you may not have put a lot of emphasis on, like you might be in maybe a weekly, or you might have a little article that someone wrote up on you. You might have a collector that collected your work, that wrote something. These are all valuable information that you want to maintain or keep in your portfolio. Okay? And this is why we need our artist statement bio. We need them, which I already said, for grants, for applying for shows, for marketing ourselves, because that's the big deal now, which everybody knows is learning how to market yourself. and gallery opportunities that somebody invites you to be in, or maybe you want to invite yourself to be in, okay? Submitting work for business opportunities as well, because sometimes our income with our art business is not enough income, so we need a supplemental income. We can still do that by doing creative things and, apply for positions that will feed that passion that we have for art. Okay, so let's start off with the artist statement. So an artist statement is focused on your work. It's written in the first person, I, me, okay? That's important because the bio is not. And your artist statement may change depending on where it's used. So maybe you have one artist statement that's a little lengthy, you might have another one that's shorter. It depends on the need of the place where you're applying to put your art. And then your artist statement is focused on your present and the work you're doing now. So on the present things that you're doing now. So not so much the past, but where are you at now with your art career? And a lot of times, we're starting off, if we're new artists or whatever, you might feel a little like, I don't have enough to share or to give to other people. You can always think about the little things that you did that could be big things for the place you're applying for, or how you feel about you. We want to build ourselves up as artists, because art in the past has been just like not appreciated in the way that we hope. But fortunately out here with the Arts Council for Monterey County and the movement that we have going, right, we now can really build ourselves up as artists and appreciate what we do. Because remember, what you do, no one else can do it. That's why they're coming to your facility. Okay? So let's do a little exercise. So in a 3-sentence artist statement, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your artistic practice. Okay? Answer the following questions. So just briefly answer these questions. You can make little notes. Who are you? Okay? How do you identify yourself as an artist? So for example, I'm a mixed media fine artist, but how would you identify yourself? Just make a little note. Who are you? And then what you do. So what do you create? For example, I create hand-beaded paintings and other paintings. What do you create? And then why do you do it? What makes you interested in what you do? What is your passion about it? And mine is to provide shared experiences, bringing people of all different backgrounds together. So why do you do it? That's important. And no pressure, right? For just thinking about, there's something I read that says, when you deal with your art business, you're dealing with your head and not with your heart. When you're talking about your art, you're dealing more with your heart. So we want to kind of get into our head and become good business people as well. Yes.
How do you define fine art?
Do you have an answer?
No.
Oh, fine art. Hi. What is it? I know Emma does, because she does. Do you have something? Yeah. Justin, right?
Yes.
Yes, Justin.
I would define fine art as a means of creating art that society has deemed somehow higher placed in our culture than most other forms of art. For instance, I think it assumes that there is a hierarchy of importance of certain arts because it's fine, it's a point, it's at the top, we place it at the top, and it's not like, well, you're not gonna go watch ballet in an alleyway, you have to, it's more important. I think that's implied in the name.
That's good, Justin. I never thought about it before, to be honest with you.
I think my understanding was it was more visual art, and the dance, the music was different. I never thought it was superior, thank you for it.
Yeah.
But it was more the
Yes.
visual art, the painting, the drawing, the coloring. That went into fine arts, and dance and theater was a different art form.
That's very good, Ritika. I agree with that, because, we don't have to put ourselves above anyone. We are who we are, and we're special. That's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we've been given the gift to do what we're doing, because it is a gift. So yeah, I think it's just, what is your name?
I'm Sarah.
Sarah, that's me.
Well, I find more art museums have some scrap junk art, and I find them very interesting, and I enjoy looking at, I guess it'd be like folk
recycled material art.
I love that too. I see that a lot on the antique show and how valuable it is when it comes around. But that's a very good point. Yeah, so you have the mixed medias and things like that in folk art. So there's a lot of different art. I think I'm gonna investigate that, but I think Britka's is kind of slow from it though.
Continue.
Yes.
Just to let you know, asking ChatGPT.
Okay, yes, we need to ask.
Yeah, it says fine art refers to creative works that are valued primarily for their aesthetic and intellectual qualities rather than functional or practical purposes. And so it includes painting, sculpture, drawing, music, theater, dance, and literature.
Wow, that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a little comment on that on my slides when I present that to them. Wonderful, so we're all fine arts. Exactly. So I hope you wrote these little things down. Now let's move forward. So now that you have that, we can also invert these 3 sentences, because sometimes when you're given, write this down and you kind of think a certain way. But if we revert them around from the back to the last to the beginning, then you can also write it down. So why? Why? Because I believe art is healing and brings people together through shared experiences. What? I make. What do you make? And then who? I am, and it's just taking these sentences and putting them in another direction. And it says 5 minutes, but you don't get 5 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't even finish the last.
Yeah.
I know,
We're busy talking about fine
but
art.
you did put who and you put the questions, so you can work on it and
Okay.
develop. Cause I unfortunately, you have a certain amount of time, I respect everybody's time. So I always wanna make sure we're in and out at a decent hours, so. But this is just to give you notes that you can take and develop them yourself, okay? All right. So now, describe your work using these 5 areas, okay? This is for our artist statement. The facts about your work. This is one thing you want to describe. The facts, the basic materials that you use, maybe the process that you use to go into. Use objective statements and not subjective language. Always be encouraging to your viewer and listen in ways that they become interested in who you are and what you're bringing. And influence, inspirations. Where do you get your ideas? Do you get them from dreams? Do you have visions that just come into your, into their unconscious mind, and or maybe you had an experience that touched your heart and something that you want to manifest into your heart. So where do you get your influences? Now, using all 5 senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, that's just something that you can elaborate on as you are talking about your inspirations. Maybe it's something that you saw, or something that you touched, or you smell. The smell part, I don't know exactly how you do that, but the smell is very powerful. And then place and space, okay? So urban versus rural, where can people find your work? That's in short. Website, we'll talk about it later, I don't want to jump ahead of myself. And then your beliefs, what are your driving forces behind what you believe? That's reflected in your work. No, this is all important, because if you have a piece, let's just say you have a piece for $1,000, someone's they're gonna be interested in that because they may see something in themselves in that art. A lot of times, artists, people, collectors come up to me and they'll say, "Oh wow, that's interesting. What were you thinking?" I said, "Well, what do you see?" I like asking that question, and then they can share with me what they see, and it may not be anything that I put in the painting, but it's beautiful because we're connecting our ideas and our feelings and our together, and it's enhancing what art is about, because it's not just one fixed thing. So just remember that. Okay? Now, exercise 4, so expanding your statement, you're gonna move the most compelling descriptors from the previous exercises that we just did, write them out into 1 to 3 sentences per category. This is just a really good business form, because a lot of times we start thinking about our artist statement or bio, whatever, we get a little clogged up, we're not quite sure, but this helps us get all of our thoughts in order, and then from there, we can share it with a friend maybe that's an artist, let them get some feedback, let it sit for a minute, come back to it, and then, kind of critique it or tweak it. And I added that, isn't that great? It matched the color of the background. That's my favorite part of doing presentations, is putting images. Okay, now, finally, drafting your artist statement. So take the stronger statements from your previous 3 exercise and begin to look for threads and themes that you can weave together. Which sentences are your favorite? Okay, which sentence feels accurate and personal for you to look for your work? And ask for feedback from others, which I just discussed. Ask what phrases your listeners think are sticky or memorable. This is where you get to play around, edit, experiment, and write. Remember to expand on the who, what, why we worked on in the first 2 exercises, and then choose your order. And so you can move it around. And like I said, for one event, you might need an artist statement, that's shorter. You don't have to go so long. And then other event, if you're up for a long time in the gallery or in the place that you're applying for, you could have to be a little longer. If you do festivals, which I've done hundreds of festivals, when you set up your canopy and the walls and this whole thing, right? Then you might have a longer statement. People might be more interested. So you play around with that. Any questions on that? Comments? Yes.
Would you suggest having multiple versions of your statement?
I think it's good. You can still pick and choose from the original statement that you write, so you don't have to rewrite another one,
Right.
but you can bring some of those aspects into one shorter one. Yeah. Okay?
Problem.
So now we're gonna move forward to bio. So what makes a bio different than an artist statement? That's a good question, because, a lot of us don't really know. So a bio is focused on the basic facts about you and your work, including things like where you grew up, your early inspirations, where you're living and working now. So it's not just in the immediate, it's more of how you got started, what inspired you, why did you come to be an artist? And then bio is written in the 3rd person, so they and them. So it would be something like Justin's, lived in a rural area. He grew up with his family, and his grandmother influenced him, blah, 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 something like that. The basic facts of a bio stay the same no matter where you use it. Unlike the artist statement, which you can change, the bio is pretty much going to be set. And that doesn't mean you can't go back over it and tweak it and add things. You can always change and add things to our bios. Okay? But this gives a person a deeper understanding of where you've come from and maybe the influences of that as it relates to your work. Okay? And bio is focused on your past and what brought you to this point, right? So here's my bio. I think, go ahead.
When is a photograph appropriate for the artist?
Say it again.
When is a photograph of the artist appropriate?
When is a photograph?
Yes, in a portfolio, that's the bio. Are they important some of the times, all the time, none of the time?
Usually the photographs can be in a bio. You could take a photo of yourself, maybe with a piece of your work in the background. I would make it of each one of us rather than our work, because our work is on display, which is why people are.
That's what that's, the photograph of the artist.
Yes,
Because I've
yes.
seen artist statements that have photographs and.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I have a bio where I have a photograph of myself. I don't really like to photograph anymore, but yeah, you can definitely put a photograph of yourself. Why not? You can put it up in the corner, you have your bio, and then you can put your photograph in it. Maybe if you're having brushes, you can hold them on, photograph them. So sure, that's very versatile. Good question. Okay, any more questions on that? All right, so this is my bio, and Jackie was so kind to read it already. So I don't have to go over it again, but if you notice, it's saying Kenji was introduced to various cultures. Kenji's rich ancestral experiences include her creative expression, and it talks about more of how I arrived at where I'm at today. So just keep that in mind. That is the major difference between the private and the state. Anybody want to comment on that or?
So you stick pretty much to relevant stuff, relative to the yard,
Yeah,
not too personal or
like what would you list? as?
children, pets, hobbies, interest,
I mean, if you love your children and you want to put them in there, you could say, Scott, right?
yes.
Scott has, 7 children and, something, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, the sky's the limit. Because remember, we're talking about our own personal experiences. And I don't think we should have red tape on how it should go. I think we need to be fluid and flexible and make sure that when you read it or you share it with a friend, that it feels right to you, So, because we're artists, so we can move around. So you can have that. I mean, pets, people love dogs, I have a dog that she has, whatever, however you want to put that in there. And then later on, leave it and go back again and reread it. And then let a friend read it too. And then let them say what really sticks out to them. It's always good to have a team, right? Good. All right, so let's move on to resume. All right, so our artist resume is meant to tell the story of your accomplishments that best suits the circumstances. So that's important to think about your accomplishments that best suits your circumstance that you're submitting it for. So you may have a lot of accomplishments, but you might not want to list them all based on what you're giving your resume for. You may need different versions depending on where you're submitting, but I just said, excuse me. So, resumes can be tweaked. They can, it depends on where you're going with it. You can change it, you can add to it, you can take away from it. But just remember, my experience with resumes is, if I'm submitting to a gallery or something like that, or I want to get in the show, people don't really like to read a long thing. Like, don't have 2 pages, okay? 1 page is enough. Highlight your bestest of the best, and then put that in there because, because just think about it. If 10 people submit for the same show, they're reading, they get. So just keep in mind to have different resumes for different occasions. Any questions on that or comments? Okay, all right, let's go see what it looks like. So here's some tips. Organize your resume so that the most important categories for the submission are at the top. Ready? Save each resume you submit in a folder and use titles that indicate what it was used for. So for example, resume for fellowship grant application, or resume for Palo Alto Festival, or resume for Soho show, or certain gallery. That way, if you get something else that you want to contribute to or be a part of, you can go back and look in your folder and use some of your resources. Because, we're spending time with our creativity and we want to make sure our business is set up because that's how we become more successful. Okay? Always include your contact information. Okay, that's all information, your phone numbers, your websites, your social media information, and so forth. It's better to have fewer credits, exhibitions, or publications that to tell the story of who you are and where you want to go than to cram everything into one resume. Okay, and I think all of us are aware of that because we all look pretty pride and we probably submitted resumes for all kinds of things. So it's okay to be a beginner. Okay, if people are just starting out, they always get a little nervous. Some of my students and people that I've worked with, they like, well, I don't really have that much experience. Well, you do. You have what you have, and you should feel good about it, and then just go ahead and put it out there. And people like beginners anyway, especially if they're young. They're older like me, and they're like, you kind of waited too long, but you're younger, you got it going on, okay? Just, all right, search online a variety of resumes that relate to your artistic modalities. So then that's easy to do. Just go online, read a few resumes, see how they set up, and so forth. Okay? Questions, comments? All right. Now, this is what our portfolio would look like. Of course, you have your best work, okay? And then what best represents you and now historically. for your bio, and then your best documentation. All right, and that's just a little diagram. Now, documentation. So does your work require photos, video, prints, or in-depth descriptions? Your goal is to obtain the highest quality and most thorough, accurate record of your work. So you do want to have documentation. I remember when I first started out, 100 years ago, we had slides, and we had to get slides, to document our work. So we'd make slides, and then we'd have to I'd send the slides for shows, for galleries, and now it's changed to more digital, and so you could just send the JPEGs and so forth, like that. But it really wasn't 100 years ago, but maybe 99 or something like that. Now, organization. So decide on a storage system: external hard drive, cloud storage, hard copies. Always have digital backup. I'm sure we all can relate to that very easily. You don't want to lose anything. Download PDFs of websites or online publication where you and your work is mentioned. So even in the small, you might think it's something small, like somebody mentioned you that saw your work and they made a comment on social media, and it was kind of lengthy and how long it was. You can retype that and put that in your documentation and keep that. Yeah, because it's somebody took the time to say something about your work that they appreciated. And so if they felt that way, certainly other people might feel that way about you. And it's just good to have. My husband's always telling me, you need to copy that. And I'm like, oh. But he's right. And so now I've got all this information. I don't know who I'm going to give it to, but it's in a folder. So don't forget to do that. And then, of course, storing, name your files, store your documentation in a digital format. Make sure the name is descriptive, the contents, your name, your business name. In case you need to share the file, that's already set up. You don't have to take extra time to do that. Any comments on this? Okay, everybody's good with that, because everybody's kind of doing these things right now anyway, right? Okay. So secondary items to keep track of. So your press articles, written about you and your work, where you were featured and how you were mentioned, Reviews, critical reviews of you of your work, all right? Audience reactions, social media posts, we talked about it. In-person feedback, emails, letters. You can always get your collectors to send you an email. Tell them if they purchase a piece from you, ask them to please send you an email. Tell them, maybe even a picture of where they hung it in their home, something like that, and you can have that documentation. So quotes, testimonials, and feedback, similar to audience reactions, but these are requested from individuals and participants. Process photos and videos. Any documentation of the artworks before and after to show the context of the work. This may include context photos taken during an exhibit, performance, or activity. Now, I've been seeing a lot of artists posting on social media how they draw something. You've seen it. They speed it up, and it really catches my attention because if I go on social media, and I saw this gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he's the founder of you scrolling. And boy, do I get into the scrolling thing. I was like, why not just scroll for 20 minutes? And see children and they're crying and this and that, But the art that I see is really interesting. Or even the photography or the ceramicist, and you see them creating this and they do it really quickly. Because I think you have 3 seconds to catch someone's attention on social media. Is that right? Yeah, something like that. It's short. And because otherwise they're gone,
I feel like it's down to a second now.
It is. You probably know better. And what's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, you know better. But so you only have a second, but it's a good tool. I mean, it's free. You can just do something and get some feedback and see how it's being shared with the public. What is their feeling about it? And that gives us more information because we're in the information age to maybe see how we can tweak it or just learn from other people that are doing that. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments on Portfolio Kit? Because I think we've reached the end of this part. These are the things you want to check off. your artist statement, your bio, your artist resume, work samples, self-curation system, and secondary items. Anybody
Is the
wanna-
self-creation just the organization you mentioned? 'Cause
Yes.
That's not in the first list in the
Mhm.
slide.
Too bad. Yes,
So if you were like an intern or artist in residence for a really well-known artist, would you put that in your bio or your resume?
I would do both, actually. Yeah, I would do both. I would put it in the bio, making it fit into the history of your, how you became an artist, how certain things. And you could also, even if it's current, you could put in your artist statement and you could put a few little bits and pieces of that in there. Because listen, if we don't brag on ourselves, no one else will. So, I really wanna, emphasize to appreciate yourself and what your gift is and what you're bringing. And, if you only have one collector in your whole life, it doesn't matter, because the point is, we're doing what we're passionate about and what we're sent here to do. And as artists, we sort of have a puzzle connection with all of us, whether we're here to now, when we leave, we'll have some insight and some different things that are going on that, we can always check back and email me or email the Arts Council, and just let's bond together and make this thing really elevate the arts, because it's been needed and now it's happening more and more. So I just want you to appreciate yourself, okay? Any more comments on that? Okay. All right, so let's move on to engaging customers. Does anybody need a quick break, a minute or something? Or
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going on with this. Let me ask you a question.
Yes,
The portfolio. Do you have a project on not when you but physically how this is put together?
what do you mean, like
Like a
art?
binder, staples, I mean.
Yeah, you can
physical
you can buy those if you want to buy a portfolio bag, you can get those from, Amazon, Michael. You can put everything in there.
Well, if someone's jury on a show or something,
Right.
what are they expecting?
They'll tell you what they want, and
Okay.
sometimes it can vary. But let's just say they want your statement. I'm sure they'll want your bio and your resume, because they want to see your history and how you developed to where you are now. And so, but they will let you know exactly what they want. They're going to want to see copies of your work, different JPEGs that you will send them. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 6.
But
Different.
there's not I guess I'm wrapping my head around it. Physical, how does it physically look? Is it cover sheet, on a white sheet of paper with stuff stapled in order, printouts with your visual work and all that?
That's a good question. It's a great question. It depends on where you're submitting it, first of all, because a lot of things are now through the computer. Okay,
Okay.
so you're not really physically handing them anything, but you're submitting it, through their email. And then you send your statement and you attach it, and you attach your bio and your resume. You send the JPEGs and so forth.
So they're not asking for a
They-
PDF with all those?
No,
Yes, and
usually not anymore.
Okay.
However, if you do get accepted to the show that you're applying for, then they'll want to take your bio or your statement, and they'll blow it up and put it with their work. Yeah, but for your own personal use, I would definitely print everything out, keep it in a folder, and have it handy so that you can, have that physical paper, but also, have it stored in your computer.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions on that? Is that permission? Okay. All right, so engaging customers. Anybody want to take a little break? Good? Bit of coffee or grab another piece of bagel? No, we're good? Okay. Y'all want to go home. I know what's happening. All right, so engaging customers, folks. Oh, this is so important. Let's go down and just talk about this elevator speech. It's a short, compelling 30-second speech that communicates the core idea of your business, and invites the listener to learn more about you and your creation. Right, Ritika?
Yeah.
Because we did it at the Sand City. I was told, get from behind this table and go over there. And, people, they want to know. They really want to know what you're doing. If they stand there and they're interested, or if they're passing by and they're looking, you want to engage them, That's an opportunity to talk about your work, to share, to ask them about themselves. Don't forget that part. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But this elevator speech, I don't know if I like that word elevator, but you want to have something that you know what you're going to say. You know, you want to be a little bit prepared. Doesn't mean you're going to repeat this speech, like a robot, but you do want to have some of the details, about what you're going to say. Like my daughter, she's doing her first exhibit, and they did this photo shoot of her and everything. And she's like, "Mommy, I didn't know they were going to ask me all those questions." I said, "I tried to talk to you about engaging customers, but a prophet is never accepted his own home, okay?" So I just said, "Well, you just go for it. You go for it. Next time you can consult each other on it, But anyway, just keep that in mind. All right, so let's talk about what you would talk about in elevator speech. And we kind of covered this a little bit in the art statement. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it? And that's the same thing, we reversed it, because I believe, I make, I am. And the beautiful thing is, if anybody knows me, I can engage customers. I'm gonna make sure I get some customers engaged, okay? Especially if they're gonna show up in my space, so why would I lose that opportunity? It might be just the person that's going to collect my work, which it was over the Open Studio art tour. It was really, really cool. And Emerald and I, we made little flyers, and I said, "Emerald, you gotta go to the Veggie Market and get these people, because we're here and the Veggie Market's there," and we just went out, did our thing, and got people in, and we made some really good sales with the collectors. And it was wonderful, because it didn't happen the next day as much, or the next day, but we were straight, we got it in the first day. So you don't want to lose that opportunity about engaging with your customer. So let's talk about some of our major concerns. So write down your concerns when speaking with customers. Just jot down a few words. And we're not gonna read it, so no worries, we won't dig into your, what your concerns are. But what are your fears? I mean, do you have, because we have fears about so many things, it stymies us and doesn't get us going. But if you look at what those fears are, just write down certain words. And then, do you feel comfortable sharing and selling your art with others? Why or why not? So let's give you a minute to jot that down. This is fun, isn't this fun? Oh, I'm excited, I'm having chills and everything, this is great. Because we're definitely going to be better. While you're writing that down, I'll share with you, each one of us are gifted in a special way. On that wall are all different kinds of art. Your collectors are yours. If you're a photographer, if you do graphic arts, whatever, they're gonna be your collector. They're gonna be attracted to what you do. That's just the way the universe works. So if I have, for example, the Open Studio art tour, a woman comes in with her mother, she's all excited about everything. She goes to my gallery party and says, "Oh yes, I love that, and I love that. Oh yeah, that would go. I have to think about where it's gonna go. Because if I think about where it's gonna go, I'm done." And then she said, "Okay, good." Then mom said, "Come on." And then they went down the way, and then they went to the next one, And then she's, "Oh, I wanna get that. So she bought 2 originals from another artist, right? It was like this sci-fi, really beautiful. And I saw her buy it, and I thought, okay, well, that's the end of that. She got her work, And then I was walking back. I'm a very spiritual woman. I said, "You know what? Wait a minute. Let me just ground that. First of all, I'm so grateful for him, because he really needed, he really wants some collectors." And I said, and it's good that we got her from the Veggie Market. She's come in, blah, blah, short story. So anyway, on her way back, she goes to another artist and she goes, "Oh, I like that. I want to get that one." And that was another original. And I was like, okay, and then we got that, put that over. And then she got back to my space, and I figured she was finished, right? Because she had bought all these originals. And she said, "Okay, I want that one and that one." And I was like, yes, okay, all right, thank you, God, for that, So, I'm just sharing with you how we want the collector is for you. It's gonna do, he or she or, whoever is gonna get your thing, okay? So you don't have to be concerned, or, you want to have good energy for everybody, right? So does anyone want to share a fear? Yes. Oh, good. Good.
Oversharing about me.
Okay.
I don't know. I have this weird fear of being perceived through my art because I use art for like catharsis processing.
So for example, I come to you and I'm talking to you and I'm saying like, well, what is this? So how would that translate?
I would say like, you know, they either beauty or painted my piece. And usually people want to know the why or the what, and I usually have a tragic story to follow up with.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah, that's my art, right? And, you know, it's up to the collector, right? But my fear is oversharing.
Okay, so a tactic that I learned a long time ago is people want to talk about themselves, okay, mostly. So they say, well, how did you arrive at such and such? Then you look at it and say, well, what do you see? And you give it right back to them. And then they love that because, you know, they're there, they love art or photography or whatever, you know, ceramics, whatever. And they'll go, well, I see and I see the angels coming down and the light shining off, and you know, you're all in like the dark space about light, and then you say, oh wow, that's great. I've never even perceived it that way. Wow. Just goes to show you how everyone can see something different. And then say, thank you for that. And then you don't even have to say what you because it might be in contradiction to what they're saying. Let them see what they see because they're going to take it home and put it in their house, right? So if they see something new, then when they wake up in the morning and see it, that's the sale right there. That's the close. Okay, so keep that in mind. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm afraid of, like, people get tired of it and throw it away, or I see it at Goodwill or Salvation Army. So,
Yeah, that's
well, you have to sell it first in order to have it at Goodwill or Salvation Army. But that's a concern because a lot of one person can see a piece of art and say, oh, that's just garbage. So, but I think if you make the sale, if you price it right and you're compensated, if they get tired of it, that's their issue, not yours.
absolutely. And you express your fear, which is a real fear. It's a real issue for you, and we respect that. And then also now you have solved the issue that you said if they buy it. And the thing about it is you don't know what they're gonna do. They might. One gentleman, he sent it to the Philippines. He sent all the things that he bought from the art studio tour. He sent to the Philippines. You don't know what's going to happen with that piece, so you're perceiving a negativity that isn't even happening in your space. So you know, just kind of be with that for a minute. And you know, there's an old saying like, give no thought for the morrow. You know, don't think about, you know, because the birds are fed and everything is, the plants are growing and things are moving on. So why should we worry continually about it? So just one day at a time, you know, which I respect you sharing that because others might have that feeling. If you go into the what is it called, the secondhand store and you see your art, you know, you can buy it back and sell it to somebody else, you know, and make double money on it. But keep that in mind because you really don't know. Yes.
And I was thinking like secondhand store specifically too, you could twist your thinking to like what a cool piece of like a life your art can get, because some people can only afford thrift store shopping and love when they find treasures like that. And
That's
it might
beautiful.
be like a totally new life, or sometimes people, I mean, this might either horrify you or excite you. Another artist, like I've seen videos where artists will buy thrift store pieces of art and then put their own spin on it with mixed media or like painting over different parts.
Yes.
And I think that that's super cool. But it's like also if it's your precious piece, I totally understand if it doesn't.
I see wonderful art at their stores.
Yeah.
And I think this is wonderful. Why did someone, get rid of it?
Well, you know, a long time ago, someone talked to me about whys. They said, don't ask why. Because you really don't know. Just you know, because sometimes they'll say, well, why? Well, why is this and why is that? And it's just out there. So just don't ask why. Just don't ask why. Just go in, because listen, I love the antique show and they have found things for a nickel and it turns out to be $50,000. So, you know, you never know. But there you go. That's how I got my husband. So seriously, she was not aware, okay? And I became aware. But anyway, we're gonna move forward. So keep those in mind. All right, so practice field research. This is another way you can engage in your customers. You can learn a little bit about yourself. your art. So I'm just gonna run through these. It's very effective to visit galleries, art shows, so you can observe how artists interact with potential customers, okay? By observing other people, you can start to learn yourself how some strategies might happen. Try researching artists whose work is similar to yours. Take notes of how the creators and the customers are interacting and how the customer is relating to the artist. See if you can figure out what they value about the work, listen to their comments. Are they interested in the conversation or ready to move on? What are your takeaways? Sometimes you go to a show and you listen to people, you just listen and you're just there to observe and see what's happening. And you can check the customer, potential customer, are they getting antsy? Is the artist too much? You know, that whole thing. Check the different price points. We're not gonna go into pricing, but this is important. Not everyone can afford an original, right? So you need to have different price points. Some things that are lesser, which we did at our spoken studio tour. You know, everybody loves cards. You know, you can get them made. You can make them yourself online. I have stones that I sell, so those are pretty good price point. I have print posters. They're lesser than my original, so forth and so on. So keep that in mind. As you listen to the conversation, take notes on the similarities you experience with your own conversation. Is the seller too aggressive or too passive? Are they closing the sale? What is the strategy? You want to have a closing, okay? It's a little bit more difficult when you have art collectors, but if they're really interested, you can say something like, well, which one speaks out to you most? And then they start really getting interested and they look at the price and they say, well, what is your budget? You know, so maybe you price it for $600. You don't mind pricing it for $550. You know, if you're really needing like to pay your gas bill, you might price it for $500. You know what I mean? But you can negotiate and work with that kind of thing. So research websites also. All right. How is the information organized? How does it draw you in when you go to the website? Is it easy to navigate or is it difficult to navigate? You know, what are the elements in the shop that appeal to you? Are there colors that appeal to you? How the setup is? Are the works similar? Maybe people want to buy a set of something. So you put those things together. Your ceramic, maybe there's certain things that are color combinations and that kind of thing. Think about all those things. All right, and then the checkout. Excuse me, make sure it's secure when you check out. Check your social media to analyze the artist's advertisement, which we talked about, you know, on social media. Does it draw you in, you know, so forth and so on. Okay. Now, pre-engagement strategies. This is before your customers are coming to your space or are in your gallery. Welcome customers as they enter your space. Introduce yourself as the artist. Now, I'm just gonna say this, not mention any names, but when we had our open artist studio tour, you know, people would come in. Now they came right in and I'm the first one there, right? But then they went and walked on down and then I noticed that some of the artists were talking to each other. And there's a gentleman, he's in the space, he's looking all around. And you know, I'm a little bit crazy, a little aggressive. So I ran by and I said, oh, such thing. Anyway, oh, okay. But, you know, if somebody is looking around, don't be shy, you don't never know. You know, you might be a little apprehensive at first, but you can always say, you know, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this is my gallery. I hope you enjoy, you know, da-da-da. Or if like with Ritika's work, you know, we have all these different artists are, you know, they do da-da-da and, you know, you explain and just explain a few things. You don't have to go overboard, you know, you have to go into anything, you know, like tragic or anything, which is perfectly fine if that is part of the question. You know, people usually want you to be a little more optimistic, but it's perfectly fine if you feel that way. I mean, I don't put anything down. But anyway, keep that in mind, okay? You've got to engage with the customer. You never know. Be enthusiastic about your work. If you display a warm and uplifting vibe, your potential customer will be more interested, right? Yes.
So, I mean, sometimes it's like the hesitation of starting. What's the good starting point? Are they engaged, busy? Are you interrupting their thoughts? Or sometimes, but especially when events outside, it's like, oh, they don't want to talk, or, you know, they're in a big event, they meet so many people, and you see that seeing eye kind of a thing, and I find it hard to open up once like, you know, you gauge that, oh, they don't want to talk to you. The starting point is the hardest for me. I mean,
Yes.
You know,
And that's for everything, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have a blank canvas, you have a camera full of film, you know, you have clay, you know, you gotta start, you know. But once you start,
Yeah.
then it evolves into its beautiful thing, you know. So what do you think, what strategy do you think you can use, Ritika? Because, you know, we were together. And what are you apprehensive about as far as talking?
I think when it comes to non-profit, they sort of like, oh, they're going to ask something, or you know, it's like for me, it's like maybe start with personal something about them, how are they, or and not straight getting into your work, or I don't know, it's like sales pitch. I don't want to come out as like I'm selling something or asking for something. That seems like my personal hesitation.
Yes.
You know, when you even like
Yes.
people you know and you try to reach out, and it's like, oh, they're like, oh, she's wanting to meet, and I'm sure it's for, you know, because
Yeah,
she's a
yeah,
non-profit.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I get you. So just remember this, you're perceiving all of that. Okay? So that's the first thing, you know, that you're apprehensive to ask for. Okay. Maybe it comes from something in your childhood, maybe, you know, you couldn't ask for a piece of bread or something, I don't know. But you can kind of go into that a little bit with your own spirit, you know. And then also you can do something like if somebody's walking by, you know, you can say, how are you today? And then you can honestly say something nice about them. I read a book a long time ago about life wasn't meant to be a struggle. It was a little teeny tiny book. I read it like, I won't say 100 years again, but it was a long time ago. And it was so beautiful because it said you can honestly say something nice about someone. You can honestly find something nice. So if somebody's coming by and you see they have on a beautiful orange dress or an orange shawl, or maybe their hair is a certain way, you can go, how are you today? Oh my God, I love that color on you. Genuinely, okay, you're not just making it up to try to get money, you know? And you say something really nice and they say, how's your day going? Ask them to, you know, open-ended questions. You know, why, who, what, you know, let them talk to you. And then once you get establish some ground, then you can say, well, let me share with you what we have here. These are some of our artists, and you know, you have your tip jar. You know, you can say, you don't need to say we're a nonprofit. We're doing wonderful things in the community. And people are into giving donations now, because you know they're giving donations to Kamala. They're giving donations to this, to that, to this. So it's not as tight as it used to be. But definitely you can start off by just acknowledging their beauty and what they bring into the space. Okay, does that help a little bit?
That's like when we would comment on the cap, the guy wearing the
Yeah.
shirt, that in that 3 foot space that they would, you would think you'd step up to the table and check out. Kind of like that.
yeah, I mean, of course, that's why I said maybe something personal about them rather than about you in the beginning.
Right.
When I start about
Mhm.
straight about that ability or me, it's like, whoa. So
Yes.
yes, first
Yes.
about them or
Yeah.
if we can find.
Yeah, you want to engage. You want to engage. You know, you want to create a friendship. You know, you want to have some kind of communication. You just want to be genuine. You know, if you're genuine, they'll feel it. And you know, I mean, I go to the grocery store and I see a woman, and I know she was beautiful in her younger life, but to me, she's still beautiful. And I'll say, you know, your hair, you just look beautiful. And she's like, oh my God, oh, really? Like you made my day. You made my day. But it's true. So just remember that. Okay. So here we go. Be sure to have your payment processing tools ready. Okay. Keep merchandise looking attractive. So make sure everything. If you sell something, someone collects something, maybe you have a space. You can leave a space if you want, or if you have another piece, you can put it up or put out your whatever. You know, keep it looking great. I prefer to price items because I really believe from my long time experience, if somebody goes and they look at something and then they look to see the price and they don't see a price, they're not going to buy it because they think it's too much. So it's good to put a price. I mean, you can still put $1,500 if you think it should be that, you know, but at least they have a knowledge of what your prices are. Business cards are a must, although I don't think people really use them that much anymore except for a toothpick, you know. But you can have a sign-in book. It's much better to have a sign-in book because then if they sign in, they put their email, you have a way to contact them when you have something else. And I would just, yes.
A business card You could do a QR code on it too, so it will lead you to the website and everything.
I've seen that.
That's very helpful.
Yes, see, that's how you got them. That's why I don't need this. Yeah, that's really cool. That's great. It's a bit much better toothpick for sure. Absolutely. And also, you have their email. So after your show, you want to email everybody. Okay, don't just leave it in the book. Email everybody, say this is da-da-da. Thank you so much for coming into my gallery, into my space. I hope you had a good time at the show. I'll keep you informed, and just a quick little blurb, okay? Because remember, we're building. And keep your website up to date, of course, always keep that up to date. Okay? And these are some communication strategies. Listen well is the key, I know I'm doing a lot of talking here because I'm doing the presentation, but I'm a good listener. I like listening because you never know what you're going to hear and what you can keep for later when you come back. Now, unfortunately, I'm not great at remembering names, but I'm getting better at that. But listen, repeat key information to be sure you understood what they're talking about, what their interests are, what they like about your work, okay? And ask opening questions, which we talked about when I was sharing with Mitika. Who, what, when, where, well, where are you from, and really seriously be interested. I mean, I'm not like a robot, right, with people, okay? I want to be genuine. Accept compliments, okay? So, my sweet little Emerald, they like this picture and everything. So, you can say thank you. I really appreciate that. It meant a lot to me. And, be genuine. Because remember, you're your salesperson, okay? You're gonna bring. And we love what we do. So keep that going. Try best to read your customer, the body language of your customer. We're good at that because we're creators. Your interests so that you're not overly aggressive, okay? So just check out their body, if you're talking to them, they're moving along the way, say, have a nice day, you don't have to try to keep them in one spot. Stay positive, stay energized, be welcoming, not pushy. People love to talk about themselves, we've talked about that before, okay? And then encourage sales. Now these are just quickly, because we're a little bit, it's 5 after, so that's not too bad for everybody, hopefully. But add-ons. So add-ons are things you can include in your work that make it more interesting once you make the sale or about to get the sale. Your packaging, maybe for the holidays, you can package a certain thing, you can wrap certain things. Framing, matting, shipping, maybe you can not charge for shipping. I know that, the weight of everything is really expensive now. So maybe if you have a piece that you're gonna sell for $600, maybe you can just sell it for $700, and then if they, you can include the shipping in the price of the piece. Then that way you could say, I'm gonna ship it for free or something. You can negotiate. Companion pieces, we talked about that. Backstories, we talked about that. Why, who are you in the space? Seasonal discounts, you could do that on your website, give 20% off, for a time, put it in there, and so forth. These are all great add-ons. Loyalty points are a little harder to keep track of. Membership. You can take a photo with the artist. A lot of times the artists want to take a photo with, can I get a photo with you with that? Sometimes they want a photo with your work and they're not even buying it. But, that's okay, as long as, you're in front of the picture and they can't copy it. And that's another thing. Don't let people come take photos of your stuff. I mean, I don't believe in that. I did it when I first started. And then somebody, somebody in Japan or someplace they reproduced my work. It was really kind of strange. So it's hard to keep that from happening, but just keep that. Sign the art with the customer's name. That's a good added touch. Even if you've already signed your work, you can turn it over and you can put, especially for Emily, and then you can sign your name or something like that. I do that with my posters and so forth. Coupons, we talked about it, and then discounts. If somebody's buying 2 or 3 pieces, you're gonna make say you're gonna make $2,000. You can discount 100, or something like that. If they kind of hem-haw, then just add another 50. I mean, it's up to you how you want to handle that. But if your sales have been kind of low, remember, it's better to get a good customer buying 3 pieces because then they may come back and buy 3 more. So keep that. Any comments on that? Right on. So, any comments? Anybody thinking about something that you want to share?
How do you feel about negotiating your
the price.
I always kind of up my price a little bit so that I can negotiate them. Because with my hand beaded work, as you know, it takes a long time. It's originals. I can't reproduce it. So on those, it's a little different. But on my prints and G-clay prints and originals like that, I don't mind. It depends. Like sometimes I've had a piece of art for a long time and somebody wants it and I've got 900 and they want to do 800. I don't mind. I mean, $100, loaf of bread, glass of milk, so I'd rather get 800. Be honest with you, because I read where 1% of artists can live off their work. 1%, no matter what work we do. So if we can have something coming in, it feeds our creativity, it makes us feel good about who we are, and then we have hands and stuff, we can go back and make more. So yeah, it's on it. As long as it's not like a whole lot, like if it doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. Any other, yes?
Something I wrote down that I guess I'd like people's opinion on, but it's like my concern that I wrote down, then connected with your slide about field work and researching. In specifically, one main thing that I do is lifestyle and event and portrait photography. And what other photographers that do what I do encourage is like the money is in the printing of the photos, because the real work it's a loss to take the pictures and to edit the pictures, because people don't understand that that's what takes the most amount of your hours. So then there's a massive just blanked on the word, but the price it's the markup, it's just so extreme on prints, and I'm a person who likes to save money, and so like I don't feel just in my own, it doesn't like I don't connect with the way that other photographers who photograph what I do just feel fine doing that. And for me, I like to give the digitals for a specific fee and then let them print wherever they want, because when things are such an extreme markup, I'm not comfortable with that. So I think I wrote down that I still need to find my why for my own pricing, because I just don't want to, and I think for like fine art photographs and different things like that, I think that is a much better reason to buy the print from me specifically. But if I did like a family portrait session, I want to be able to, my choice is to give them the digitals. And so then I need to figure out how to market myself to still make the same amount of money as my peers, I guess. So I'm just in this weird conundrum.
Yeah, and it's a good question, and it's a great place to be, because when we have these kinds of challenges, that's how we end up figuring out how to make the move, right? And that's why it's a bonding. So I have done a pricing workshop, and just real quickly, I would say, make sure you include your labor, the time you spend on something, even if that's just going to the store to get the film or whatever it is that you have to do, your gas, all those things. Include that in the digital price, so that and don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve. That's we learn that along the way. But
I think it then just takes more customer education, because what most photographers recommend you do is have a price for the time and everything that's not shocking for the purchaser, and then make back your money on the prints with that extreme markup.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, don't be concerned about the customer and what they're gonna be shocked about, okay? You have to take it into yourself and decide for yourself what works for you. And believe you me, your customer will show up, they will pay you what you're valued at, and then they'll tell somebody, and it will grow from there. Because money is always a thing, but we don't have to, belittle ourselves if just because we think we're like charging too much or something like that. So keep playing around with it. I'll give you my emails right there. Give me an email from you, and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I have the pricing information you can talk about and see. We'll play it around, mind to mind, and then maybe out of that you'll come to a decision. Okay. Any more I think we're good. It's 10 after.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Thank you, Kenji. Kenji will be here for a few minutes later if you guys have any questions for her. I also want to invite you all next Friday at our Artworks in Salinas at 262 Main Street in Old Town. We're going to have a talk by photographer David Gubernick, and followed by the First Friday event. So please try and come. And thank you for being back here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.